Hey there friends, it's Missy. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm here with a brand new layout and process video for the Pinkfresh Studio design team. And this collection is called Everyday Musings, and it's one of the brand new ones that is just now being released. And it is full of beautiful colors. There are chipboard frames, there are die cuts, puffy stickers. These are really cool. These are like little pockets, and you can actually fit the 3x4 cards in there for hidden journaling, or you could put die cuts in there, all kinds of ideas. I'm actually going to put my photos in these little pockets today, and I've got these two photos here, and you can kind of see how I've got some open white space on the left side of the photos. And they were perfect for sliding into these little pockets here. And I just thought I would do this as something different. I like the way they look kind of peeking out of the pockets. And I'm going to use the light blue one and the purple one. I guess you would call that purple. It's a light lavender. Almost looks kind of like a pinkish purple. I'm going to incorporate some of the orangey red, some of the yellows. There's also some royal blue shades and some darker greens in this collection. If you love florals and hearts, there's a cute little bicycle die cut, all kinds of cute little icons and images. And it's really good for just everyday photos. You know, there's not really a specific theme to this collection, and so it will work well with anything. And I think it will work well with boys or girls or whatever color scheme that you want to use, because there are lots of colors. So I was just kind of playing around there with the pockets and my photos and things, and I'm going to start with some white cardstock here and incorporate that die cut that you just saw me playing with, and I'll talk about that once I get back to it. But I know I want to do some mixed media here, so I'm going to use some clear gesso on my background, and I've got the Pinkfresh Studio liquid watercolors here. And when I got these, they were still in the old style glass bottles, and so I know the packaging has changed, but it's still the same thing. So I'm just kind of experimenting with some colors here. I wanted to add some of the colors that I've already got going in the little cluster that I built with the pockets and the die cuts and things. And I love working with purple, but when you're trying to mix and match colors, it's really hard to get the exact shade of purple. So what I did here was I mixed a little bit of the purple with some of the pink. And my color here winds up being too pink, but it's okay because I'm going to show you how I fix this. It's kind of hard to tell with the bright lights and on camera here, but it was just not the right shade. So I grabbed my white gesso this time and just kind of smudge over. And the good thing about adding gesso to your pages is you can just layer things on top of things and layer things on top of things and just keep changing the color and adding to it and getting it just like you want it. So this is the royal blue color. I added a little bit of the aqua tones to it, and I'm just trying to add in some blue, and I got the blue a lot closer. So I let that dry, and then I decided I didn't really like how it looked, so I'm going to cover up some of it with some pattern paper. This is one of the cute pattern papers in this collection, and it's got all kinds of images on it and all the colors that come in the collection. And I wanted to kind of cover up some of that pinkish purple color because it just was not the right shade. And so here's how I'm going to do it without just chunking this background into the garbage. So I want to kind of fade out some of the pattern because I'm still going to localize my photos and those pockets pretty much in the middle of the page. So I decided to cover the top half of my layout with this pattern paper, and it is kind of busy, which I love, but I do want my photos to stand out. So you can kind of see what I did here. And I just faded out some of the pattern, and I went over some of the pink on the background. And I'm going to incorporate this cut file. This is a Paige Evans cut file, and it's called Branch. She has a couple called Branch, but this one's really pretty, and I think it matches some of the images in this collection. And so now you can kind of see the background peeking through the cut file and around all the photos there. And I like how the gesso sort of fades out some of those images. It kind of whites it out. That way all those little busy icons in the background don't overshadow the pictures. So that's why I kind of like to make it look a little faded. So that's kind of how my layout is going to look, but I do want to do some more to the background. And I'm going to work to get that purple color just like I want it, so it matches the purple in that pocket. That is a hard color to match, and but it's definitely doable, because if you've got these watercolors, they are very vivid, very bold. So if you want to lighten them up or create a color that's not already in the bottle, you've got to be, you know, you've got to experiment with it and kind of water it down and just kind of blend and mix and match the colors to get the color that you want. So all I did for the blue was water it down. I chose that royal blue color and just added lots of water to it. I put it on the background with my brush. I spritzed it with water. And then I go back to the purple and add a little bit more. And I think what I needed to do was just use the purple and water it down and not add so much pink. But like I said, it's all fun. It's all experimenting. And if something isn't the exact color that you want, just keep working at it. Just add something on top of it, or, you know, add some white paint on top of it, or add some white gesso to lighten it up. And then you can just go back over it with another color. So this looks like a hot mess. I know, it looks like a kindergarten painting at this point. But what's going to happen is, once you build your background, I always think my backgrounds look like a hot mess. Here I am still working on the purple. And I did hit another phase where I thought, this is just not the right color. This is terrible. But it all works out in the end, I promise. So I wanted to add one more color on the background, and so I went for green. So I mixed two of the green shades together to the upper area here, because that's going to be peeking out around the top of everything once I put it back on the background. And I think that since I added the white gesso to the pattern paper, it helps the mixed media color to stand out a little bit more also. So here's something I did that actually helped quite a bit. This is just some cheap white acrylic paint, and I added it to in a couple spots onto the purple area, and then added some water and just kind of watched the paint swirl around, and it kind of lightened things up, and it really looked cool. And I love how it interacted with the water on top of the watercolor that I've already got, and I think it actually made it just how I wanted it to look. And it's got a lot of liquid on there. I'm going to let that dry and just kind of blend together, and I am going to use my heat gun. So this is the next day. I let it dry, and then and my paper was kind of warped, because anytime you add a lot of water to paper, naturally it's going to bend. So what I do, I get a lot of questions about how I flatten my layouts out. Once it's dry, I set it down on my desk, and then I pull out a couple of old, really heavy paper pads that I haven't used yet, and I stick it right on top and just make it really heavy. And so by the next day, it's pretty much flattened out. And so that is a very good tip, because, you know, it's very hard to keep paper flat when you're wetting it. So you can kind of see where I'm going here. I'm going to tuck lots of things in and around. I did a little bit of stitching with some gold thread off camera, just around the edges there. My photos actually are, I taped them down. I didn't actually stitch through them. I can still move them around. But I'm going to start to glue everything down. I'm going to glue down the frames that I tucked in there, and I like to use frames as frames sometimes, but more than that, I tend to use them as layers, and I really like how this looks here. It's going to give everything a little bit more dimension, because chipboard is pretty thick. And I really like how the cut file is very subtle. That's why I just added the cut file to the white cardstock, so it would sort of be tone on tone, but you can see the mixed media colors sort of peeking through it. I'm going to use that little Live in the Moment die cut. That's going to actually serve as kind of one of my titles. And then that little puffy sticker that I added to it says Sunshine on My Mind, I believe. And I like that it's got the orangey red color around the rim of it. And then I added the same color flower over to the right. And so I tried to get pops of red, you know, at least 3 points of that. I'm going to have yellow and 3 points. So I tried to get all of those colors scattered evenly around this cluster. And I love the little leaf die cuts and the flowers. It's just a very happy collection. Especially if you like bright colors, which I do. So I'm going to glue everything down here, and I don't want everything perfectly straight. I like things kind of crooked. Here's where I add a little bit of yellow down at the bottom. I just cut that little looks like a little piece of notebook paper. I just cut that off of the edge of a die cut and kind of tucked it up there. And I really like how this blue floral die cut looks layered. I kind of tucked some of it underneath the pocket flap and then right on top of the photo there. And I think that looks cute. Sometimes I like to overlap things on photos if it doesn't take away from the photo or cover anything up. And in that case, I liked how that looked. So I'm coming in with some more puffy stickers. I'm going to use this little piece that says happy. I just love the pop of purple that it gives, and it's a darker shade of purple. And I like the way that looks, and I love that font. It's really cute. I'm going to add a couple of puffy hearts. And here's another pop of that orangey red color. And then I'm going to add some purple puffy sticker flowers over to the left. These are a couple more die cuts. They're just little phrase and sentiment pieces. I'm going to add a couple of those in. And then these are also part of the collection. I love these. They are metallic gold puffy stickers. I'm going to tone down the gold a little bit, and so I'm just going to give a little smudgy coat of white gesso on top of it, and it just sort of softens up the brassiness. And on this layout, I wanted it to be a little bit more subtle. And I think that that was the perfect addition right there on top of that blue piece because it was so open. And I'm going to do the same thing with this little heart. I just rub it on with my finger and then dab it up with a paper towel. So I've got 2 pieces of the gold there. And make sure that's glued down because things don't like to stick when you use mixed media. And it never hurts to add more glue. So I am going to add in a little bit of thread. That's the one thing I'm missing. If you follow me or you've watched any of my videos in the past or seen any of my other layouts, you know I'm obsessed with adding tangled thread for texture, for color. This one is not necessarily for color. It's more for texture because you can't really see the blue on blue. But it's okay because I think up close you can see it, and it just adds a little bit of texture and dimension. Now I also decided that I wanted to cover up and lighten up a little bit of the blue and green at the top, so I just smudged some more gesso over it to soften up the edges. And then I really wanted to incorporate some of these multicolored alpha puffy stickers, and so I'm going to just use the word love because it's just the perfect word to use, and I like the way it looks down there at the bottom. I printed out my journaling this time. I haven't printed journaling in forever. But yeah, so I'm going to glue those little strips down, and then I wanted to add a pop of that dark blue up at the top, and so I just tore a little piece from one of the 3x4 cards, and I'm just going to tape it. No, I'm not. I'm going to glue it. Where did that word tape? I haven't taped anything in forever. I'm going to glue it down. And I think I'm getting close to being finished. I am going to add a little bit of gold splatters. This is just some cheap metallic gold paint from my stash. I'm going to water it down, stick my brush in it, and just add a little bit of splattering around the page since I've got those puffy stickers that are gold. And that's going to wrap it up. Here's my final layout. I really had a good time making this. I hope you guys like it. Let me know if you have any questions about any of the techniques that I used or any of the products. Make sure you check out the Pinkfresh Studio blog for all kinds of inspiration using the new collections. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. I hope you have a great week.